how it is practical when it comes to the student life?
No, the global professional world is entirely
Good, because the university is trying to support them like
those government-backed frameworks for quality in education. Our kind of healthcare programs, particularly our nursing areas,
free along with the course itself.
and we do advise students to come in and actually do that module because
You're providing the practical as well as the student can have it.
it's an additional module that students take. The international makes it so diverse. It really is a
Hello and welcome back to the Next Stop UK, your ultimate guide for studying, living and thriving in the UK. You are now tuned into Season 1 of Level Up 2025 Study Abroad Goals. This is Episode 4, Huddersfield Uncovered, what makes this UK university a global magnet for students. Joining me with a very special guest, Carl Abe, who is the head of the international recruitment at the University of Huddersfield, with years of experience helping students across the world, especially from India and Asia. Welcome, Carl.
Thank you very much, Michelle.
Can you please brief about the university and what makes it stand out compared to the other UK higher educational landscapes?
Absolutely. I think Huddersfield is relatively unique. We're both a modern university with a very modern outlook in how we do things, but we're also quite traditional. We've been around for about 200 years now. We've got a really long history in industry, with manufacturing and textiles being a huge part of our local community. But within that, we have a kind of a modern ambition to be more focused on research. So we are a really strong combination of really strong research, but really strong practical education that's, I suppose, accredited and recognised as being extremely high quality, with things like TEF Gold, with our accreditations through most of our programmes, and certainly in the practical element in the placements that we offer our students to gain experience while studying with us.
Okay, so you mentioned about the TEF Gold thing, right? So may I know that TEF Gold, how it plays or how it is practical when it comes to the student life in the university?
Yeah, I think TEF is one of the only, I suppose, government-backed frameworks for quality in education, and it works on the basis of three really distinct areas: so student outcomes, student experience, and quality of teaching. And now we're one of only 13 universities in the UK that have gold as a metric in all three of those. So it's a really strong testament to the quality of the education that we provide for students at Huddersfield.
So can you please list out some courses like undergraduate or the postgraduate which are more in demand when it comes to the students?
Yeah, absolutely. I think for us, our kind of healthcare programs, particularly our nursing areas, the areas around optometry, occupational therapy, physiotherapy, certainly our education programs are exceptionally strong, as well as moving into our computing and engineering, our artificial intelligence, cybersecurity. And in our business school, it's an AACSB accredited school, so all of the programs in there are very, very strong actually in terms of the quality we deliver and the kind of the outcomes they give for our students. Our music program is one of the best in the entire world, and across then we have a huge number of programs, even new programs being developed this year in radiography, in dental hygiene, dental nursing. So those areas are coming up. It's something that we can definitely kind of say is a strength area for us.
Okay, so can you tell me like how the university ensure the curriculum is relevant to the industry needs actually?
Yeah, I think a lot of that is based on the fact that our courses are being delivered by people who are either still connected to industry, who are still working in industry. Oftentimes in most of our courses, they're working directly with industry on knowledge transfer projects as consultants in the industries that they teach in. So what we're getting is a constant feedback loop of relevant information, of the skills and the requirements that industry has, and all of our portfolio is kind of built then on being able to say that students in 3-5 years time will need these skills to be able to be successful in their careers, and the academic teams build that into the programs that we actually offer.
Actually, it's really great to hear, because the thing is, along with the academics, they are also focusing on the skills of the students. That's really great thing. And speaking of that, the Global Professional Award, which is like alongside the degree, it is being awarded. So what is it like? Yeah,
it's Global Professional Award is really interesting. It's a really unique program for us. It's students are automatically enrolled onto it, but what it is, it's an additional module that students take, usually for a couple of hours every couple of weeks, where they learn entrepreneurial skills. They learned I suppose enterprising, how to build their own kind of professional skills and abilities, but we also work with them on their well-being and the health aspect of being an active global professional. It is optional, but students certainly have the option, and we do advise students to come in and actually do that module, because it's a real enhancement to the overall course that they're studying.
Okay, that's really great for the international students as well, right? So for the Global Professional Award, does it have an extra amount to pay, or is it like free along with the course itself?
No, the Global Professional Award is entirely free. It's built in as part of the program, so students literally are auto-enrolled, and then it's up to them to make sure that they attend. So.
Okay, so that is also an addition one for the students. Speaking of the placement and the career options, the university is mainly focused on the employability, right? So what are the supports the university do provide to get the students into internship, placements, or the part-time during the study time?
Yeah, no problem. I think our university offers undergraduate placements for every program. So students who come in to study with us for an undergraduate degree will have the option of a placement, and they're really, really well taken up actually. Students love them. A really good example is one of our Indian students, Nirmal, who's studying on the BSc of Sound Engineering and Music Production, and he was working with Dolby Studios, who do all of the major film productions, and they do all of the major kind of sporting and TV companies as well. So he's a huge amount of experience that he gained, and he actually took that experience and came back to build our podcast, the International Studies and Stories podcast, for us, and has gained experience with us in the last year, kind of extending on that. So he's a really good example of a student who did a professional placement, but then also came back to us and used those skills to work with us in the international office and built our podcast for us. So that's the perfect example of the option to do extra experience, and that's available to all of our undergraduate students, and even for a lot of our postgraduate courses we have what's called the professional practice routes, which allows students to do 6 months of placement after their academic period ends.
After the course it will start. Okay, so for this placement year, does they have to pay an extra amount, or is it like
there
free?
is an administrative charge. It's usually about £3,000 for the undergraduate programs, but there is a bursary amount built into those, so students are often gaining some bursary back, so it works out as cost negative ultimately.
Okay, so speaking of the part-time options, like, is it available for the students there?
Yeah, there are part-time work. I think it's the town itself that we're in is about 250,000 people, so there's lots of part-time opportunities both on campus and off campus, and we have the job shop, which is run by our students union, where students can go find, and they list the types of roles available, but also a lot of students tend to kind of go around the local community with their CVs in their hand and looking for people to kind of employ them as they go. There's plenty of employment opportunity, but to say that it's really up to the student how proactive they are in making sure that their CVs are good and that they've got the skills that they need to be able to do that.
The university is actually known for the focus to the employability, right? So how does the university do ensure the students are getting the internship and the placements, even the part-time, which is like during the time of the study?
Yeah, so we have many ways that we do that. I think we're known for our employability. About 94.8% of our graduates
really
actually go on to work or further study within 15 months of graduation. So it's a really high employment rate for us. And the way we achieve that is all of our undergraduate programs, students have the option to do a placement year. So they would go out and gain the industry experience while they're working or while they're studying. Our postgraduate students have professional practice access years built in there as well, so they have that option too. On the kind of local side, we have the job shop, which is run by our student union, where they advertise local part-time opportunities. Employers send them the details of what jobs are available and they post those. But we also have a really strong careers and employability service who provide skills and training to prepare students to apply for different types of jobs, both in their studies but also once they've graduated. And I suppose a really good example of a student who's kind of benefited from that is one of our Indian students, Nirmal, who did a BSc in sound production and engineering, and he went out and did his placement with Dolby Broadcasting. So they're a huge kind of sound engineering broadcasting centre ultimately, and they kind of gave him a load of skills, got to work on some amazing projects while doing his work placement, but then also came back and we used his skills. So he's come to work for us to build our podcast, actually.
That's really
the
great,
International
actually.
Studies and Stories podcast. So he's continued to gain experience while doing real practical work, and he graduates this year, and we have another student coming in next year to do exactly the same thing. So even within the university, there are loads of options to gain experience while students are studying.
Okay, so speaking of the employability rate which you mentioned, like 93 to 94%, that's a really like huge when compared. And can you tell me, like put a light on the part-time options, like which is available, like whether it's available in the campus or off campus? Like?
Yeah, a bit of both. As I mentioned earlier on, the job shop is a function, it's a service provided where local employers can advertise their jobs. And within that there are both on-campus opportunities for employment for students, but the town itself, the campus, is right in the middle of Huddersfield town. So it's surrounded by, I suppose, retail outlets, food outlets, other businesses, so there are plenty of opportunity locally for students to be able to gain that part-time work.
Okay, that's really great for the student. Like it's like easily accessible for the students as well as for the employers.
Absolutely,
right?
yeah.
So how diverse is the international student population in Huddersfield?
Yeah, Huddersfield has a very diverse population. We have about students from over 100 different countries, and a real mix of countries. There isn't a single dominant nationality in the university, and we recruit students from all over the world at all levels. I think we are about 30% maybe international students to domestic
30%.
students, so it's a really good mix, actually. It's a really good mix, and and because the international mix is so diverse, it really is a really strong cultural pot.
So it will be like blended with a little more cultures, like international cultures together.
Absolutely.
Okay, so what kind of support the university provide for the students, like academically, culturally and socially?
Yeah, all of those areas. I think we're very unique in that the Huddersfield International Office is actually set up in a way that from the point of the student first applying right up until the point of graduation, our team is responsible for looking after all of our international students. So from our admissions team, our recruitment team like myself, right up to the student experience and the compliance and welfare teams, they're all within our office. So students have a consistent contact point the whole way through their studies of who's going to look after them. Within that, they manage our global societies, and there are 60 societies for global nationalities, including a very, very large Indian global society. But on top of that, we have probably close to 100 different societies for sports and clubs and activities that are in the university as well. In that, we have wellbeing services. Every student who comes to us has a personal academic tutor, so there's somebody who's designated to make sure that academically they're supported. And then also from a university standpoint, we have really strong cultural and I suppose pastoral care options and support for students to make sure that every aspect of their time with us is being cared for. So.
Okay, that's really good, because the university is trying to support them like in all the holistically, speaking of that, like holistically they are supporting.
Absolutely,
right?
Yeah.
So like I just want to know, like, do we have any advice to the international students who are planning to study in the Huddersfield?
Yes, lots. It's kind of my job. So I would say where we are with that is Yeah, absolutely. I do have advice. The key thing is, and the most important bit, is selecting the right university for you. Because there are lots of universities out there offering lots of different things. So my strongest advice would be to students to ask as many questions as you can. Every university is different. Not every university is a perfect fit for every student. So I would suggest really that you ask as many questions as you can. You do your own research. You look into every aspect of what it is you're trying to do and what you're trying to achieve from study in the UK. But even, I suppose, crucially, to work with partners that we work with, such as AHZ here in India, who will be able to kind of help contact us to support with questions and queries. But really do your research and make sure that you're fully aware of what it is that you've applied to and what it is you're going to do when you get to the UK.
So can you please put light on the facilities provided by the university for the students?
Yeah, absolutely. We are very fortunate at Huddersfield to have an extremely modern campus. The campus itself is right in our town centre, and we have invested well over £200 million in the development of the facilities that we actually offer. Yeah, so the most recent addition to that is our National Health Innovation Campus, which effectively is a teaching facility for our health students, but it closely replicates exactly what they will see when they go to work in hospitals, to go to work in clinics. All of the equipment, all of the kind of facilities and all of the layouts are very much set up to be as they would expect when they're working. I think we're on a very unique point. We're the only UK university to have a canal that runs right through the heart of our campus. So on your way to studies in the morning, you're going to trip over geese and ducks on the canal path on the way in. But I suppose just the investment in what we do and the facilities we have has been incredible. It's a real drive of our Vice-Chancellor that students are studying in the best facilities we can provide, and a huge amount of that is evident, and certainly students who want to research our website will see what we've got. It's hyper modern in a lot of cases, and constant refurbishment to make sure that students have the best facilities and that the facilities we provide are as close as possible to what they're going to experience in the professional world. So industry standard laboratories, industry standard I suppose technical facilities for sound engineering. Nirmal is a perfect example of that. But certainly in the flagship of that at the moment is our health sciences campus, which is incredible in terms and only being kind of developed now. We're in phase 2 at the moment, and there's lots more phases to come. So huge commitment to world-class facilities for our students.
Yeah, like you're providing the practical as well as the student can have a leisure time as well, the lakes you mentioned.
So we have the campus, the way our campus is built is everything forms around one central space, and that's called Student Central, ironically enough. But in that's home to our incredible sports centre, which is fairly recently built. The International Office Hub is there, the Students' Union Hub is there, then I suppose within that as well we've got all of our kind of key catering facilities, all administrative areas, but it's very new, it's very modern, and it's just a central point for students to kind of gather in as much as anything.
So it's more like outside of the campus, like outside of the classroom they're having a best time.
There's no teaching facility in that space at all. So it's very much, this is where you unwind. It's good. But then immediately around that we have all of our academic facilities, and literally immediately around that is the rest of the town and all of the facilities that the town itself has.
So they can relax.
Which is very important.
That is also really required actually. So speaking of the location, like Huddersfield, that location, so how is it affordable for the students, like comparatively to the other UK cities?
Yeah, one of its strengths is actually the affordability. For cost of accommodation, it's one of the 10 least expensive places to study in the UK. I think the overall living cost, because it's not in a big city, because everything is commutable pretty much by foot within the town itself, or by public transport to the other areas, it's a very affordable place to be. Certainly for students who study with us, they can live in somewhere very affordable that has all of the amenities and facilities they need, but they're half an hour from Manchester, they're 20 minutes from Leeds, so you've got the best of all worlds kind of in Huddersfield as a town. And Huddersfield itself is actually undergoing a huge redevelopment at the moment. We've got loads of new leisure facilities, there's a whole new town centre redevelopment that's due to be finished next summer, which will add more music facilities, concert venues, cafes, restaurants, and that's being built right now. So it's really great for us because I get somewhere nice to have coffee, but the students have a really great kind of town hub that the university is a central part of.
Yeah, so it's like easily accessible. Everything is there within the city itself. Yeah, that's really great because student doesn't have to go to any other place for that.
But if they do want to go everywhere else, so the train station is 10 minutes walk from the campus itself.
Only 10 minutes.
And you can get to all major cities. Even Manchester Airport is accessible by train from the campus. So getting to and from is really, really good.
So it's like easily accessible to everywhere from the city. That's great. Speaking of the admission part, can you please highlight on the entry requirement for the undergrad and the post-graduation courses?
Yes, certainly. So we have obviously their different levels. So typically we would look for students coming into undergraduate programs to have studied A-level equivalent qualifications here in India, and that can be a mixture of things. It can be international qualifications or even standard 12th. And we look at a combination of scores, and we look for certain programs. We actually look as far back as 10th to make sure that the student has a strong academic history. For postgraduate studies, we're looking for students to have the equivalent of a UK bachelor degree. Typically with a 2 or higher in their overall award, and then within that there's obviously English language requirements. Now for the undergraduates we have certain state board English language waivers or exemptions for certain state boards, and at the postgrad, and we offer multiple different types of English testing for students to come through for both undergraduate and postgraduate. So IELTS is there, TOEFL, Pearson test of English is there, and a couple of others in there as well with waivers. So the easiest thing to do for your course, because every course can be slightly different in what the requirements are, is to have a look at our website to check the requirements. You can search for India and it will tell you what the requirement is, but you can also speak directly to your guidance counsellor, your counsellor with AHZ as our partner here in India, for example, who will be able to check that and verify it with my team to be able to make sure that we're giving you the right information. But there are some exemptions from IELTS for English, certainly from some of the state boards here in India, but we also have different testing available for students to come through.
So like there are exceptions from the states, right? And do have the multiple proficiency test which is accepted by the university. So can you please tell us what are the scholarship opportunities in the university for the students, for the undergrad and the postgrad?
Yeah, absolutely. We have a fairly simplified scholarship process actually. It's fully merit based. So at the point of application we look at your academic attainment, and depending on what grades you've scored, either in school or in your degree, your first degree if you're coming to postgraduate, our admissions team will look at the grades you've achieved and then will automatically assign you a scholarship. Now that ranges from £2,000. Every student who applies who meets the minimum entry requirement would get £2,000, but that can be up as far as £4,000 if you're a very strong academic student coming through to us. Now for an undergraduate student that's really important because that's for each year of study. So in reality you could have, if you're a very strong student, at the point of assessment, if we say they're a strong student and we award them that £4,000, they keep that £4,000 every year of studies. So it could be up to £12,000 for a very good undergraduate student coming through to us. That's automatically applied. The student does not have to do anything, and it was listed on their offer when they get their offer from us.
So what about the postgrad? Is it the same?
Exactly the same thing. A student with a first class honours degree equivalent coming to study will be awarded £4,000. A 2-1 equivalent would be awarded £3,000. And just every applicant from international to help with their costs, because obviously it's not an inexpensive thing to do, and we give every student £2,000 to help with their costs.
So this is the automative scholarship which based on the student profile. So other than that, is there any merit based scholarships like you mentioned, how is the application?
So there are certain other scholarship types. We constantly review these to make sure that they're appropriate for what we do and that they make sure that they give the best opportunities for the right students. And we have new sports scholarships that have just been announced, for example, that are for elite athletes in a number of
Okay.
different areas, and we're constantly looking at our scholarship offering. We're going to review that again in the next couple of weeks,
That's
just to
great.
make sure that what we actually offer is useful for the students, but also rewards those really strong students who are coming to us.
Okay, that's great. Like reviewing of the scholarship, like we are waiting for that as well. Okay. So can you please put light on the tuition fees, like for the undergrad and the postgrad?
Yeah.
How is it coming like?
So tuition fees vary depending on what course you're studying,
Okay.
obviously. It's not a set fee for every programme. The typical range for this year is between about £15,600 and about £19,800 off the top of my head, depending which course you're actually studying. Now, obviously, if you have a scholarship awarded, that will be taken off that fee, but it does vary by course. So yeah, that's the kind of range. It's just worth noting for students when they're applying. Depending on when they apply, fees may rise annually, so that's something to bear in mind when they're calculating their budgets.
Yes. So like, is there any installment plans like for the students, like once after the deposit?
Yeah, so for the deposit itself, we do have a hard deadline on when deposits need to be paid by, but students can pay their deposit in multiple installments until they get to that value. So if the deposit for most areas is typically 50% of the tuition fee, that's what we would usually have as our deposit, but you can pay in multiple installments to make sure you meet that deposit, as long as it's done by the deadline that's stated for you when you apply. Within that, there are then set deadlines within the academic year when students have to have made their next payments. But again, if students want to pay in multiple installments, as long as the full value is with the university by the date that it's due to be paid, then that's okay.
Okay, so Huddersfield have won n number of awards, right? And how these awards reflect on the campus, actually?
We have won a number of awards. You're right. I think within that, we've over the years collected a huge number of, I suppose, a huge amount of recognition for what we do and how we do it. Probably Entrepreneurial University of the Year, recently Business School of the Year in 2024, our TEF Gold, which we've already talked about, but we've also got other awards in there, including our ranking position. The university is the fastest rising UK university in the QS World University rankings, and we're the top young university in the UK at the moment, which is really, really excellent and testament to the work. How that actually translates to the student is that it gives them a bit of recognition, if you like. Even our AACSB accreditation for our business school programs, it's just a mark of the quality we have. So when they say they've graduated from Huddersfield, they can go to employers and employers might have heard of us, and they might be able to go out there and go, "Weren't you business school of the year?" Yes. Aren't you one of the top ranked UK universities? Yes, we are.
So those could be an advantage for the students after the graduation. Like
but it's also about, I suppose, when they're there. When you have won awards or when you're doing very well as a university, it tends to attract top professionals as well.
So it enhances the student profile as well, like once after the graduate. That's great. So what is your message to the parents who are worried about sending their children to the UK or abroad studies?
I think I'm a parent, so it's natural that you're worried. It's a foreign country, it feels like it's very far away. So my advice would be to have confidence in the support that the students are getting, to ask as many questions as possible before the student goes, to make sure that where you're sending your child is the right fit, that the support services are there, and that there are people on the ground who can and will help should anything need support. I think it's a really big decision to send your children overseas, and I think the key thing is to fully understand what it is you're sending your students for, to ask questions about the local community, about the opportunities for students to have their own community, even simple things. And one of my concerns, because I like food, would be, where can I get the food that I like? So just making sure you're doing the research on what's up. Now, Huddersfield, we're very fortunate. We have a very strong South Asian and Indian community anyway, so there's local support available. There are local groups within the university We have a really strong pastoral care element to what we do. But the key thing for questions is to ask those questions. Make contact with the people at the university who are going to be looking after your students, and work with your counsellors here in India, certainly at AHZ and partners, to make sure that you've asked all of the questions before you make those decisions, because the worst thing that can happen is that you've made the wrong decision. So use all of the information you can. Make sure, if you can, a really good thing to do would be to visit the universities in advance. We all love to have parents and families on campus because we get to show you what it's really like. Never mind what we say it's like. Just actually show you where it is, where you would be living, what the town is like, what the environment is like, how do you get to different places. So if you have the opportunity to visit before your student comes to enroll, please do that, because it's the best way to learn what it's going to be like.
Yeah, that's a really nice advice, because like visiting the place before you go, that's really required to know the whole environment, like how it is like.
Yeah, and I think one of the things where that's not possible, and that's not always possible, not everybody can do that, is to make sure you engage with the opportunities the universities provide to speak to their staff, attend the webinars and seminars they run, look at things like even the podcast, our podcast, International Stories, International Studies and Stories, things like that, where we're talking about what it's really like, where real students, and probably the biggest advice is seek out real students, current students who are available to talk through their experience, because that's going to closely mirror what their son or daughter is going to be doing as well. So.
And that brings us to the end of today's episode, Next Stop UK. A very big thanks to Carl for joining us and giving us a closer look at the University of Huddersfield. This episode sparked your interest. Don't forget to visit AHC for more course details, scholarships, and begin your application journey. Don't miss out our next episode, where we will be uncovering another top UK university. Speak to expert who can help you with leveling up your study abroad goals. Stay curious, stay confident, and as always, dream big.